After I got divorced, I stayed stuck for months. I wasn't making any progress forward. I was moping around. I was really not healing properly. I was just numbing the pain. And looking back on it, there's really 6 things that were keeping me trapped. So in this video, I want to go over what those things were and some things that I started to do that helped me to progress forward, to start healing, to start living the life that I actually could envision, that I actually did want. So the first thing that really kept me stuck was a feeling of unworthiness. When I found out that my wife was leaving me for another man, it completely devastated me. It made me reflect on all the things that I had not been doing in the relationship, that I was now, overweight. I was not as good of a husband as I thought I was at the time. Like, I thought I was supportive. I was always there for her. I wanted to help solve her problems. I would have really done anything to keep the relationship together. I know we would fight and, there's ups and downs. But at the time, as I'm going through divorce, I'm just thinking of all the times that, I could have been better. And because I wasn't able to do that and she did find somebody else, it just left a big pit of unworthiness in me. And that comes back to a lot of stuff that I faced in childhood. I realized, I always felt kind of like an outsider, rejected, and I wasn't very social. So as she's leaving, all I'm focusing on is this unworthiness of not being the husband that I thought I was, not being good enough for somebody else now. And one of the ways that I ended up actually being able to start making progress on this doesn't just go away one day without putting in some work. I realized that if I'm going to build up my confidence, if I'm going to get over this unworthiness, I need to start taking some actions that will start to build me up, start to build my confidence. And so I've mentioned this in other videos. One thing that I did start doing was I started making my bed every morning so that I would start with a win. And as I'm stacking these wins, I'm starting to see that I'm not worthless. I am capable of doing good things throughout the day, start building habits that are making me successful. I started journaling some things that went very well during the day, things that I could improve on. And as I'm learning and growing, I'm learning these things that aren't going well. I'm keeping track of what I am doing well throughout the day. It's obviously tough when you're going through a divorce. You're not really focused on that. So by keeping this journal, it got me thinking more in future terms rather than just living in the past. So I'm keeping track of things I'm doing well, things I can improve on. And that's really how I started getting over the unworthiness. The second thing that kept me trapped was kind of related to the unworthiness. I had very limiting beliefs about myself, about what I was capable of. I felt I was too old at the time. I was 34. Thought no one would want to be with me. I thought I was too overweight. At the time, I was 220 pounds. I didn't have any real social skills. I didn't have any friends. I really had nobody. So I had all these limiting beliefs that I would never be able to find somebody again because I was too old, too out of shape, no social skills. There's nobody out there for me. I was in a small town, so I assumed that I would never find anybody. And these limiting beliefs are obviously detrimental because they're not true. But if you tell yourself enough that, yeah, I'm too old or I'm too out of shape, that, you start to believe it and that becomes your reality. And then because I was believing this stuff for so long, I just stayed stuck. I didn't even try to make any improvements because I believe these to be true. So I'm like, okay, well, if I am too old, if I am overweight, then what's the point? I mean, really, if that's true, then there's nothing I can do about that. So that kept me stuck for a long time. And it was when I realized that no one was coming to save me and that, you can improve your attractiveness as a man. I can start to lose weight. It is possible for me to go to the gym. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. There are other steps that I can take to become more attractive. I can improve my clothing style. I can start to learn more social skills. I had these beliefs that I couldn't make friends, that because I was quiet as a kid, I couldn't I couldn't learn social skills. I thought that was always just something you were born with. You're either charismatic or you're not. So when I realized that no one's coming to save me and that I can improve these things, that's when I started to realize I don't have to stay stuck anymore. And so I started taking small steps every day, similar to, the unworthiness, just stacking wins, starting conversations with people that I worked with. I didn't have to go out and meet strangers right away. I just started small, start conversations with people at work. Then I started giving compliments to people out the street. Then I started to actually start having longer conversations, started going to the gym, started losing weight. And the more I started to build my attractiveness and my confidence, I started to see that these limiting beliefs were just lies. And also something that did help me too was, I think it was Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, one of those guys. Both of them are great. Definitely listen to all of them. But they said, would it be better to believe that you are too old, or would it be better to believe that you're not too old? Like, you have a choice on what you believe. So which one actually is more empowering to you? So once I heard that, I started to realize, like, okay, yeah, that I'm focused on these beliefs, but they don't have to be true. I control my thoughts. I can decide what I want to believe. And if I want to believe that, yes, I'm overweight now, but I can lose weight and I can become more attractive. Yes, I am 34, but that's not too old. I know plenty of people that do have great relationships in their 40s, 50s. And I've seen people, I've learned that I can be more social. There are steps I can take to be more social. So just realizing that these limiting beliefs are not true. You have the power to control your thoughts. That really got me opened into realizing that I could improve and I could start to live a life that, like, I could envision what optimal Johnny would look like. Like, how would he act? How would he behave? So I started to define that, and that was really a turning point for me. The third thing that really kept me stuck way longer than it needed to was that I was in isolation. I didn't really have anybody to talk to about the divorce. My friends weren't very experienced in it. They were either happily married or never married. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't want to tell people about my problems. And so for months, I would go to work, very distracted, not really getting anything done. Didn't want to talk to people at work anymore because I was getting, I was depressed. I was feeling rejected. I was sad. I didn't want to go talk to people at work. So during that time when I'm stuck, I kept to myself, watched a lot of YouTube videos on, how to improve yourself after your divorce, and started to read about charisma and stuff, but wasn't implementing it. And then I would come home, and again, I'm just by myself. I'm thinking about what she's doing and not making any improvements on myself. And you get to that point, like, I was talking to one guy. He gave me some good insight. Like, there's at 7 p.m. is when most guys start to realize that, it starts to kick in. Like, oh shit, I'm losing my wife. I'm going through this divorce. I'm alone. I'm not where I want to be. Like, once 7 p.m. it hits, because you're no longer distracted throughout the day and you're left alone with your thoughts. So being isolated really, kept me stuck for a long time. The way that I started to get out of that was kind of related to step 2, where I started to realize that I can improve my social skills. And that kind of gave me some, motivation to go out and to practice, to start to meet new people. I started to go to trivia nights. I started to just go to bars and try to have conversations, improve my social skills. And as I started doing that, I started to make new friends. I started to be excited to get out of the house, to go meet somebody new. And then I also started joining Facebook groups, watching YouTube videos, really trying to connect with people who were where I wanted to be. So I was watching videos on charisma, interacting with guys who've already figured that out, and trying to avoid being in isolation. For a long time, I was fine with it because I thought that was the best plan of action. You're supposed to stay at home. You're supposed to recover. I was told I have to be very upset, which obviously I was, but at the same time, I was not moving forward. She was already with her new boyfriend. So why do I need to just sit at home in isolation and trying to heal? It wasn't working for me. So that's when I started to go out and meet people, practice social skills. So that's what worked for me. Fourth thing really kept me stuck was I thought it was a badge of honor to be depressed, to not make any progress, to show my ex how upset this divorce was making me. I felt if I was, not making a lot of progress, I was sad, she'd feel bad and be like, oh, I feel so bad for Johnny. Maybe I did make a mistake. And then I'm also writing these love letters and writing these text messages about how great things used to be. I'll go back this way, it's loud. How great things used to be. Don't you remember where we were? How far we've come together. And, as I'm sending this stuff, it's I guess I would say kind of manipulative, like trying to say anything I can. What are the right words for me to say that would make you want to come back to me? So I would mope around the house. I wouldn't get a lot of things done. I thought the sadder I was, the more it showed that I cared about her and that she'd want to come back. So obviously that didn't work. I guess the thing that really helped me with that was, again, stacking those wins. Realizing that, I think a lot of that comes down to, I don't know, maybe I learned that somewhere, like from movies or something, like you just have to be sad to move on. But the version of you that your wife left, that old version of you, she left that guy. She doesn't want to come back to that guy. There's nothing, just because you're sad and, depressed, doesn't erase all the things that you could have been doing better. So really the only way I thought at the time to get her back would be, hold on, this truck right here is kind of loud. So I realized, she doesn't want to come back to that old version of me. So I have to start making improvements. I have to start living a life that I want. If it turns out that she does want to come back, that'd be great. Like, she's going to want to come back to a stronger, more confident Johnny. That would make sense. So I started taking these actions. And as I was taking these actions, as I was healing, I realized I didn't really want her back anyways. I enjoyed the freedom. I enjoyed the improvements that I was making. I started to stop reflecting on only the bad things, which is really the fifth thing that was keeping me stuck, is I was only focused on the good things about what our relationship was like. All the times we had fun together, or she's my soulmate and I can't be without her. But as I'm making progress, as I'm evolving, you're starting to focus on things that I didn't really like. I didn't like the red flags. I didn't like the guilt tripping. I didn't like the victim mentality when she came home. A lot of the times I wished she would come home late so I didn't have to interact with her. So as I was making this progress, you stop acting so sad, you stop living in the past, stop focusing on only the good things that you lost, which a lot of that I think just comes down to the rejection part of it. If I had been the one to initiate the divorce, if I had been the one to walk away, a lot of this stuff probably would not have affected me so hard, but it did. I stayed stuck for months. So that was the fifth thing, is that I just focused too much on the past. And the sixth and final thing that really kept me stuck was just a lot of feeling of anger, bitterness towards her. I was not able to let that go. I felt very betrayed that she left me for another man after all the things that I telling myself that I had done for her, how far I had taken her. I got her out of Missouri. I got her a good job. I got her her degree, like all these things that I did for her. So I felt very betrayed and angry. And I couldn't really focus on anything except what she was now doing. Like, I would stalk her social media. I would stalk his social media day in, day out, hours a day. And I was just very angry and hurt and rejected. And it wasn't until I was able to start releasing that I was able to start healing, moving on, months after everything started. And how I started doing that was just starting to take personal accountability. I learned about personal responsibility, taking ownership of the situation. There's plenty of things that I did that were not great in the marriage. She was not happy. She's gone now. Me just being angry and not moving on is not getting me any closer to the life that I want. So as I'm able to move forward, make some progress, meet new people, losing weight, enjoying my freedom, just realizing that the life I want involves travel, and there's no going back. She left me. I said this in another video about David Goggins. She left me. Fuck her. I'm going to make her jealous of the man that I can become. I wanted her to regret leaving me. And so as I'm making these improvements, I just let go of that anger. She did me a favor leaving me. Fuck her, it's over. It's fine. I'm going to keep moving on. And I let that go. I took personal responsibility, realized there's things that I could do. Me being angry is not helping my situation. It's not. She doesn't care. She's already moved on. She's with her new boyfriend now. So that's not going to change anything either. So get rid of the anger, get rid of the resentment. It's not an attractive quality either, in that, you know, any girls that you go on dates with are not going to want to hear about how bad your ex was, or, you know, things that went wrong. They're going to think you'll say the same thing about them. I'll see if this car stops. And it's not going to help you in any way. It just keeps you stuck way longer. So releasing that anger. Wow, it's so noisy here. Releasing that anger, releasing that resentment. You know, you got to realize it's over. You got to move on. Keeping that stuff is not going to help you. Focus on what you can control, ways that you can improve, and ways that you want to live your life the best that you can. Yeah, I think that's all for today's video. If you guys are looking for any help, any guidance, like I said, this stuff kept me stuck for many months. It was once I started taking the right actions that I started to see that I could live a different life, that I could get out of Wisconsin, you know, move to Boston, practice some social skills, start getting a dating life that I actually dreamed of with the girls that I was always attracted to and wanted to be with. So if that's something that's of interest to you, you want any tips, any feedback, join that clarity call. I'll give you some things that work for me. We'll come up with a plan of action that'll work for you, help you get unstuck. Because if you're not taking the right actions, you could stay stuck for months, years. I've talked to guys that have been dealing with this stuff for, you know, several years. They haven't been able to move on. And, you know, it's unfortunate. That's not something that needs to be, that's something that doesn't need to happen. There's plenty of things that you could do that would make your life better. And just being stuck is, you know, just, I guess, kind of a waste of time. So click that link. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments. Hopefully this stuff was helpful for you. I'm going to go to my Spanish lesson now. I'm on day 10, so I got a long ways to go. Making some progress, though. I want to get fluent in another language. This goes back to, you know, feeling unworthy. I was not taking actions to make me feel worthy. So now I take things that push my comfort zone. I want to learn Spanish. I want to improve my style. I want to lose weight. I want to become a better communicator. I want to date hotter women. And these things all require me to take some good actions. So that's my journey. That's my path. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Hope you guys have a killer rest of the day, and we'll see you later.